Welcome to 805 Sports Talk. I'm Joe Bailey. Alongside me is Kenny Cress, Elliott Stern, and Jacob Rayburn. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is our 13th edition of the show, and it's our first official summer show, so we got a lot planned for you guys. Baseball, so a little bit of basketball, some soccer, even some golf. So it's going to be a big show, and thank you guys for tuning in. So our first story of the week is Cameron Walker. I'm sure many Central Coast sports fans are familiar with that name. Righetti star basketball player just wrapped up his freshman year at Stanford. He came to the office this week, and I had some time to catch up with him and kind of get his thoughts on his first year with the Cardinal. First question, how would you kind of sum up your first year at Stanford? You definitely got some playing time. You guys had to deal with a lot of injuries. You guys did okay in the Pac-12. How would you kind of sum up your freshman season at Stanford?
Yeah, I think it was a good year, a good learning experience. I don't think we did as well as we wanted to, because we wanted to make a deep run in the tournament, but we weren't able to do that, and we weren't able to play in the NIT either. So, which was unfortunate, but we do have a new coach this year, so hopefully we can do some better things.
What do you think the highlight of your freshman season was? You got, I think, one start against Arizona. That was your first start against Arizona. It seemed like you were really kind of just trying to facilitate guys, weren't trying to do too much on offense. What do you think the highlight of your freshman season was for you on the court?
Well, there was one game in particular when we played against Arkansas when we were down by 20 at halftime, and I played a lot of the second half, and we came back and won, which was a really fun game for us. But I think, my role was just to facilitate and get guys the ball. But hopefully this year it changes a little bit where I'm more in offense and more involved.
Okay.
So.
And I believe that game was a a tournament game, and that was at the Barclays Center, right?
Yeah.
What was that like playing in a new arena like that, a big time NBA arena? In Brooklyn, what was that like playing a game over there and your team playing so well? What was that experience like?
Yeah, it was great. Playing in Brooklyn, playing in an NBA arena. The first time I played in the NBA arena, and it's just so much different. Playing in an NBA arena with all the crowd and the stands is so much different than a college basketball game, and it was fun. Experiencing that is. It was a preseason game, so it was good to get warmed up for the season, and it was a great experience.
Okay, talk about your season individually a little bit. I know you had had a preseason kind of injury, and you were kind of banged up all throughout the year. How tough was that? Kind of battling through that. Was it a learning experience for you, kind of dealing with injuries? How do you think that was from an individual standpoint and kind of dealing with that stuff?
Oh yeah, it was definitely a learning experience. I had to battle through a lot of kind of minor injuries this year, and it's just adversity. You kind of just have to fight through it. Practices were a little bit longer, more strenuous than in high school, so over time that kind of just wears on your body, and the season's a lot longer, so you kind of just have to deal with those injuries and pains and illnesses.
Okay, and looking forward this next year, new coach comes in. There's going to be some new recruits in. Some guys are leaving for the NBA. What do you think the season holds for you guys as a team? What do you think you guys can achieve? Is it going to be a whole lot of new pieces trying to find their place? What do you expect for this upcoming season?
I have great expectations for this season. I think we can achieve a lot and do some damage in the Pac-12. I really like all our new coaches. They all seem, optimistic about the new season, and I'm excited for it too. We do have two freshmen coming in, and we did lose one guy to the draft. So hopefully, we can mesh together and come together at the right time and play well.
Yeah, kind of talking about the coaching situation a little bit. I know you were real close with Johnny. He came to Santa Maria a bunch of times. It's big news when a guy like Johnny Dawkins comes to Santa Maria. What was that like, having to see him go, and was it tough, or do you think it's something you guys can learn from, or you learn from individually? What was that like?
Oh yeah, it was tough, transition, because Coach Dawkins recruited me since I was a freshman, and I've known him, and I had a good relationship with him. But Coach Haas, who's here, who's going to be the coach next year, is a really good guy, and I'm starting to build a good relationship with him, and so I'm excited for the future, and I wish Coach Dawkins all the best of luck.
Okay, and kind of talk about how you think you fit in with that competition. Playing in the Pac-12, was it an adjustment for you? Were you used to that? I know you played high level AAU basketball with a lot of college guys. How would you kind of describe the competition level playing in the Pac-12, playing major Division I college basketball? Do you think you fared well? How do you think you held your own against those guys?
Yeah, I think I did all right. I think I could have played better, which hopefully I'll do next year. But yeah, the Pac-12 is very competitive. There's no easy games. And we went to Italy this summer. I went with Stanford, and we played against some professional teams in Italy, which I think helped prepare me. Just playing against professionals and grown men helped kind of prepare me for Pac-12, because that's you're facing grown men and competitive players every night. So.
Okay. And talk about on the court for yourself. What do you think you got to get better at to help this team? Is there any areas you think you kind of saw that I need to get better at that? Anything in particular that you think you can get better at on the floor?
Yeah, definitely. There's many aspects of my game which I think I can improve in. One would be dribbling and ball handling, because this year I played a lot of point guard, and I don't know if I'm going to be playing it next year, but it could be realistic situation. So. Definitely ball handling, and then just consistency with my jump shot, being able to knock it down on a consistent basis. Guys like just been watching guys like Clay and Steph, and they could shoot the ball so well. So just trying to be like those guys.
And what about your free throw shooting? Was that frustrating for you? I know you. Seeing you play for a while, I know you get. That's got to frustrate you. What do you think? What was happening at the line with you this year?
I don't know. I just think I was thinking too much about it. I was trying to work with coaches, after and before practice with my free throws. But it started getting better towards the end of the year, so I kind of started slowly getting more confidence in it. And yeah, that's also another weakness that I need to work on.
So we'll switch a little bit to the non-basketball stuff for a minute. How's life been over there in Stanford or Palo Alto? A little bit away from home. How do you like it out there? How's everything going out there? Off the court.
It's good. It's good. At first, I was a little bit homesick. I miss my parents, miss my cooking, our home. Getting home cooked meals, things like that. But I started to adjust to it. Started to make more friends there. I'll have my car next year, so things are starting to get really good.
Okay. And you were always a great student at Righetti. Obviously, you get into Stanford, you have to be a great student. How's the classroom going? How are you handling that workload? Was it an adjustment there as well? How's everything going in the classroom? Oh yeah, it was definitely a huge adjustment.
Just doing all these papers and getting ready for these midterms and finals, it could be really stressful, but it's something that have started to figure out, and my grades have started to progressively get better. So. Okay.
Have you decided on a major yet or anything like that? And what do you think your focus is going to be, as your academic career kind of moves along? What do you think you're going to be studying in?
Yeah, I don't have to declare until my sophomore year, but right now I'm thinking about majoring in economics or science, technology, and society.
Moving back to the basketball court, you played so many positions this past season. Did you find yourself fitting in more comfortably at a certain position? Do you just want to help the team wherever you can, or is there a position you think you're best suited at?
Not right now. I kind of just want to help the team, wherever I can, and I try to use my versatility to my advantage so that I could play, these multiple positions and get in the game more. The point guard is a position that I really embraced this year. I like having the ball in my hands and being able to create plays for teammates and myself. I definitely am starting to embrace the point guard position, and still playing other positions though. Okay. Still open to that. So.
Yeah, and you guys were pretty, you were pretty young last year. Marcus Sheffield got some playing time, and yourself was out on the court. Is that young group kind of coming together? How do you like playing with a guy like Sheffield who showed he can score? You had a young center come in with you. How do you feel about the young guys kind of coming together?
Oh yeah, because Josh and Marcus and I came in the same class, so we're really close. We're always hanging out, we're always together. And there's also some other young guys like Dorian and Mike who are rising juniors who are going to be good pieces to the team that we're all close with. And I think we should be good next year and do some damage in the Pac-12.
Yeah, so thank you, Cameron, for coming in. He was great to talk to about his first year. They had a coaching change over there. He battled through some injuries, but he had a good season, kind of getting the lay of the land over there in Stanford. So thanks for coming in, Cameron. And Elliott, I know you have a lot of stuff to cover this week with summer heating up and a lot of tournaments and stuff like that coming to the Central Coast.
That's right. There's so much going on here this coming weekend. As you say, summer's heating up, and one of the things people can do to beat the heat is come to Santa Maria for the Cool Summer Cup. It's the 9th annual Cool Summer Cup, and it's put on by the Coastal Valley Soccer Association. And they have 90 teams of youth soccer coming to town. That's between 16 and 18 players on each team, which comes out to roughly 1,600 kids between the ages of 9 and 17 that are going to be playing soccer on 11 fields all day Saturday and all day Sunday. There's 16 divisions, 8 boys and 8 girls. It's just going to be crazy. The hotels are filled up. The stores are going to do great business. Mike Borges, who's is the man behind this tournament, says that the city should bring in about $500,000 from this tournament, and all the sales taxes will come back to the city to help the city out. So it's a financial benefit for the community, but it's also a huge tournament. Now, some of the clubs will be coming from the CVSC, but more than 60 of them are going to be coming from all kinds of places. One's coming down from Yosemite. There'll be teams from Bakersfield and Fresno and the Central Valley. There are teams coming up from down south as far as San Diego. And of course our Central Coast clubs from Lompoc all the way up to Arroyo Grande will be coming down to play in the tournament. So there's going to be a lot of action. 11 fields at Pioneer Valley, Santa Maria High School, Hancock College, Atkinson Park, which is up north end of town across from the Boys and Girls Club, and at the Crossroads Fields, which is the CVSC's home fields over there in the little basin that's right across from that roundabout where Santa Maria BMW is. So that's just a ton of soccer going to be played. Every team is going to get at least 3 games and maybe 4 if they make it to the championship. So it's a lot of kids, a lot of action. And that's not the only thing that's going on in town this weekend. The Rancho Maria Golf Club over there on Highway 1 is having their annual Santa Maria Valley Men's Amateur Golf Tournament. Now, that is started 51 years ago, but they took a break, so it's not the 51st annual. There were a couple of years back in the 80s where they didn't play the tournament, but now they've gone 25 years straight without a break. And there are 4 different champions that are going to be crowned in that tournament. At least 75 players have already committed. Most of them are from right here in the Santa Maria area, Lompoc, Santa Maria, Orchid, Arroyo Grande, Napomo. But you're going to have players coming over from Bakersfield, San Diego, Thousand Oaks, Camarillo. They're going to be coming up because it's a chance for them to beat the heat. They love the weather that we have around here, and some of those places, the Central Valley, where it's easily over 100 degrees, to come here and play when it's about 72 is awfully attractive. And we have all the reigning champions are coming back, and that's Justin Worthen. He's the overall champion. He's the brother of Josh Worthen, 2 great Arroyo Grande High School golfers. And Josh Worthen is actually going to play in the tournament too. He was a pro golfer for several years, but then he gave it up, and he has just gotten his amateur card back, so he is now eligible to compete in the tournament. But then they have A flight, B flight, and seniors. This will be the 2nd year for seniors. And now, it's always confusing with these things. What is an A flight? What's a B flight? And those are handicap divisions. So an A flight player has a handicap between 3 and 10. And then 11 to 18 are the B flight players. And that kind of levels the field for guys that want to get into the tournament but can't possibly compete with the 6, 7, 8 guys that'll easily break 72, the par 72 over there. And David Zavala is the A flight champion. Alvaro Barnes is the B flight champion. And Kenny Miller was their first ever senior champion last year. And they're all going to come back to try to defend their championships. And that's a 2-day tournament beginning at 8 a.m. as the soccer begins every day at 8 a.m. And that'll be out at Rancho Maria, 2 days, 18 holes each day. So it's a 36-hole championship. And that's just getting this weekend started. It is going to be... There's more. I mean, if you think, well, 1,600 kids playing soccer, another 75 playing golf, that's a lot of people. but there's more that's going on, and a lot of that is going to be happening on the area's baseball diamonds. And Kenny has a look at that.
Thanks, Elliott. The District 65 tournament is a big part of our summer coverage every year. This year it begins this Saturday. The Napomo Little League is hosting it this year at their facility on Pomeroy. It is a nice facility, 2 fields. Opening games are at 10 and 2, and they involve 8 of the 10 teams in the tournament. Every year, this is a first step for the teams towards a potential berth in the Little League World Series in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, that, as you all know, has become a big national happening. But I always enjoy the District 65 tournament. It's fun to see youngsters from so many teams and areas. There are teams from Los Osos down to Lompoc in the tournament this year. It is a 10-team double elimination tournament. It's fun to see the parents and different age groups out supporting the boys. A lot of former Little League players come out. It's just a fun event. This year, the championship round will begin July 11th, and if necessary, there will be a championship game on July 13th. And as I said, it's a double elimination game tournament. I'm sorry. Each team's guaranteed at least 2 games. Orchid American is the defending champion, and they will be one of the teams in action on Saturday. Now, to talk about softball, we'll throw it over to Jacob, and he'll have some thoughts on the all-area and all-CIF softball teams.
Yeah, thanks, Kenny. All CIF was announced this Monday, and we had already done our voting on all area before that. But in a way, all CIF teams kind of validated our biggest decisions that we made, if I can use proper English, about Lompoc softball. Lompoc softball brought the only CIF title back to the Central Coast in this spring season, and they made it very easy for us to recognize them with Olivia Gutierrez, Riley Sager, and McKenna Martin earning all CIF recognition. McKenna Martin is Coach of the Year. Riley Sager was on the all CIF Southern Section team, and Olivia Gutierrez was all CIF Southern Section MVP. Just a remarkable accomplishment. And this was not really in the end a very difficult decision for CIF to make, because it was such an impressive run to the finals for the Lompoc Braves softball team. And we'll talk about that more later on, and also later this week we'll have a lot of our coverage of all area softball teams coming out on the weekend papers, including Sunday's Lompoc Record. Also on all CIF from the Lompoc Valley was Dylan Maiden from Cabrillo, who was the engine that drove Cabrillo's offense. And it was an offense that often struggled, but Dylan had a fantastic season. He was our utility player of the year because of his work as a defender at shortstop, his bat at leadoff, and he was also a relief pitcher for the Conch. So a great season for them. And one of the things that kind of jumped out at us, though, about all CIF baseball, and it's something that I think the group of us should talk about, is who wasn't on the all CIF for baseball, which raised an eyebrow for all of us kind of individually, one by one, when we all got a chance to see all CIF, and that was that Matt Sauer of Righetti did not earn any recognition for his performance throughout the season and also his playoff run, and I'm curious what you guys have to say about that.
I thought Matt was almost a shoe-in to be recognized as an all-CIF guy. You know, if you lead your team to the quarterfinals and the playoffs, you think you would get a spot on the all-CIF team. I think 2 Pac-8 guys got it, and Sauer wasn't one of them. But you know, we were kind of talking about it earlier. Who do you kind of take it away from to put Sauer in there? I don't know if there's a guy who's kind of shouldn't have been in there. I think Mark Armstrong from Paso was one Pac-8 guy, and Jeremy Jess from SLO, I believe, was the other Pac-8 guy, and they both had terrific seasons. So I don't know if you could take one of those guys out to put Sauer in, but I mean, I think Sauer just definitely belonged there. He produced at the plate, on the field, and he was just lights out as a pitcher. I think 18 shutout innings in the playoffs, strikeouts. He did everything. He's an Arizona commit.
That, for me, seals it. Shutout innings in the playoffs when the only okay, I'm going to backtrack. Not the only reason that they made the quarterfinals, but if Matt Sauer is not on the mound for Righetti, they don't reach this quarterfinals. And not only was he just a good pitcher for them, he shut people down. But, Kenny, I know, talking before we got started about, even with a good quarterfinal run, what might have worked against Sauer was that Righetti kind of struggled at times this season.
Right. Teams that, I think guys who play for teams who finish very high up in their own league standings and at least do something in the playoffs, I think tend to get the nod. I wonder how deeply stats for everybody are looked into. I think Jess and Armstrong are both deserving. I think they both belong on the All-CIF team. But frankly, I think Sauer does too. If a 0.83 ERA and a 3.24 batting average plus not allowing a run during all your playoff appearances, if that doesn't qualify, I'm not sure what does.
Yeah, it's baffling to me. I thought he deserved it. You mentioned the other guys from the Pac-8. Well, they deserved it too, but there's more than just Pac-8 kids on that All-CIF team. And I haven't looked at all the numbers, but I saw some of the names there, and I couldn't find where they had better seasons. And I think what worked against them was that the other teams finished higher, and like Kenny said, they picked teams. You don't see the pros very often picking an MVP from a losing team. And while they weren't exactly a losing team, they weren't the juggernaut that some of these other schools were, and I think they got the benefit. You see the teams that get championships regularly stack these All-CIF teams. They're rewarded for their championships, as we saw with the softball. They got the Player of the Year, Coach of the Year. I think some of that was what entered into the voting, and that worked against Sauer.
And it's worth noting that Righetti plays in a tough division for baseball, and divisions are changing right now in the southern section, and I think that's something that would be interesting to talk about. Last Friday, everyone got some news about CIF and southern section playoff divisions.
Yeah, they've redone it. Football is not going to be done by league anymore. They've changed the playoff structure where they've awarded teams points, and they've done a 1 through 16 or 1 through 20 will be the first Division 1, and then picking up from there to 40 would be Division 2. Because the divisions are not. Yeah, the divisions are not all equal. The higher divisions have fewer teams, and then the lower divisions, when you get down to 5, 6, and 7, they have 20 teams or more from which to choose the playoffs. And so we had like the Northern Division and Northwest Division the last few years. And now that's all changed. Those divisions are out the window. They're numbered divisions, and the teams are all over the place. I think Arroyo Grande was put way up in Division 2.
That was where
for football.
But what stuck out to me was who was put down into Division 2. I think 4 private schools that had pretty solid football credentials playing up in Division 1 were moved down to Division 2. In fairness, the CIF Southern Section, they crunched a lot of data to determine the rankings, more data than I certainly would have thought of. But I thought the more fair thing to do would have left the 4 private schools in Division 1 where they were, see how they did this year, and then reevaluate. And if they didn't do all that well, then move them down to Division 2. I thought the Righetti water polo team's promotion, so to speak, was too big, being bumped up all the way from Division 4 to Division One, but then they were ranked 5th in Division One, so they might be competitive there.
Well, Joe, that's the big talking point, right? Of when all the new divisions came out was Righetti water polo.
Yeah, but they've dominated Division 3, or they were in Division 4. They've had some success in Division 3, I think, as well. But yeah, it was a big jump. But if they did it scientifically or mathematically, I guess, then I guess the only argument you can have is that their formula or their system might be a little bit flawed to have Righetti jump all the way up to like the 5th best team in Division 1. They always compete, I think, in the Mater Dei tournament or the Harvard Westlake tournament, and they're usually respectable there. But when they play against those Division 1 teams, sometimes there's like a 5 or 6 goal, sometimes even 10 goal difference when they play those teams. Righetti's a really good program in water polo. I think Division 2 would probably be their sweet spot for them. Division 1's a big jump, especially in Southern California, where there are elite water polo programs and some of the best in the country, obviously. So I think putting Righetti up there is a tough task for them. But Kyle Schaefer wasn't really too concerned, and that's what I think most area coaches, when they saw the divisions, it doesn't matter if it was football, tennis, or whatever, they just said, it is what it is. We're going to go out there and they're going to have to beat whoever you play anyway. So really, coaches aren't probably too concerned with it. I know in football, a Rio Grande coach, Tom Goosen, Kenny, you talked to him, and he didn't really like those. I think Oaks Christian was in there. St. Bonnie, I think, was in the same division. Some of those tough private school powerhouses. He wasn't
and
really
I
happy
agreed with
that.
them that those private schools should have stayed in Division 1. This is the first year that they have done this formula. I have a feeling that the divisions will be a little more accurate next year. And I agree with Josh McClure. I think in a couple years, he is on the advisory board. I'm sorry, I should have clarified. He is the same as football coach. He's also on the CIF Southern Section Advisory Board. He believes that in couple of years it'll play itself out and everybody will be where they belong, and I agree with that. I think the divisions will be more accurate as the years go along. Also, I do agree with some of the teams around here that were placed in lower divisions. I agree with that. Many teams, there's a big divide, as everybody knows. Many teams here have players who can play club sports, but many teams from around here don't have that. And those were the teams that tended to be put in the lower divisions where they would have a chance, I think, to be more competitive.
Well, they worked out a complex mathematical formula. The one thing, though, about those is this is the teams that have played this past year. They worked out all the numbers actually over a couple of years, and then kids graduate. And we saw several years ago with St. Joseph girls basketball, they won a state championship. Then everybody graduates, and it's an entirely different team. So now they're still in a high division, and they take their lumps for a couple of years, and then they get dropped down. So even though it may shake itself out over the next couple of years, and they redo it because they do these things every 2 years, although they make the hard changes every 4 years, but they adjust every 2 years. But then kids graduate, and you get some new phenom on a team that was in the 8th grade the last time they did it, and now he's in the 9th or 10th grade, and that team can shoot right up the ranks. So I don't think there's any way for them to get it perfect, but they are trying to make it as competitively even as they can, given the circumstance that kids keep moving one grade up every year, and then they're gone, whether it's to college or to work, or wherever they're going, the military. But nevertheless, it's never going to be perfect, no matter how they try.
I think all of us have been talking some about this earlier. I would like, if it's possible, I would like the southern section people, whoever is making or persons who are making the final decision on where to place teams, I would like, especially for teams that they are considering moving up, I would like them to look at who is graduating from what particular school, if it's possible for them to do it.
Yeah, I think no matter what, the system's probably better than what they've had before. And
I agree with that.
And I think if they were
wholeheartedly,
the best case scenario, or to get it most right, would be to look at it every year and kind of see, case by case scenario, see who's going to be back for a team, and kind of see how many seniors they had or something like that, and kind of rate them like that. But I mean, that's going to take a lot of time and effort from a committee, or to get that right. But I think looking at it every year and kind of adjusting it is going to be the ideal scenario. So I think they're on the right track. It might just take a little while to refine the process.
Well, to their credit, they are trying to find a way to make it even, to give everybody a fair shot, so that you're playing similar teams with similar capabilities as your team. And it doesn't matter what sport or what league, and like the NCAA, when there's choices, pro baseball, you win the games, you make the playoffs, football, basketball. But in like the NCAA basketball tournament or football, is some subjective decisions go into who's going to get these playoff spots. So it'll never be perfect. You'll always be able to argue the team that get left out of the tournament, or Matt Sauer getting left off of the CIF, all-CIF team. These things are going to be debatable forever. But to their credit, they're trying to find a way to get it as close to right as they can.
And I think a far bigger iniquity, happily, was removed several years ago. A far bigger iniquity than any division placement. For years, Oaks Christian, a nationally prominent football power, was playing in the Tri-Valleys League with the likes of Santa Paula, Fillmore, Carpinteria, Bishop Diego. Happily, that was fixed. They've been out of that league for years.
Do we need to talk about anything else for the roundtable?
We had mentioned that we could talk about the NBA.
Yeah, we can talk about
We
the
could
NBA.
jump into that. I mean,
Yeah, we can talk
the
about
Cavaliers
that.
had set 2 records this year. The most wins and the biggest playoff collapse in the finals.
You mean
Well,
the
the
Warriors?
video's going
I
to
mean, the
come
Warriors.
out when
And there's going to be the Las
the horse
Vegas.
has been beaten.
Yeah, I think we
There's
can
a
just
new
wrap it
team
up.
in Las
Yeah, I think
Vegas.
we
Should we
wrap it up.
vote on names? We could do. I want the gamblers.
Gamblers?
Yeah, I would
or
say by the
the aces.
time.
The Aces, that's
How
probably
about
what it is.
Craps.
So we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're wrapping.
Okay.
So that's our show for the week. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure to check out, as Jacob, you mentioned, our all area stuff is coming out this weekend. On Sunday, kids from all over the area will be represented, so make sure to check that out. See who is our MVP and who all made the team. We always have a lot of fun putting that together. So on Sunday, the Santa Maria Times and Lompoc Record, be sure to check out our all area package, and follow us on social media as always. We're on Facebook and Twitter.
Sunday night, we'll also have the results from the Santa Maria Valley Men's Amateur Golf Tournament online, as well as we're hoping they'll get us all 16 champions for the Cool Summer Cup soccer tournament. And those will be online, and we'll write about them. They'll be online Sunday night, and you'll be able to read about them in Tuesday's Santa Maria Times. So join us for that. Always catch up with us online, in print, and right here on 805 Sports Talk. So thanks for being with us. Until next week, thank you, and we'll see you then.